Shabbat Shalom. My name is Rabbi Ben Herman. I'm the rabbi at Beit Shirah congregation in Miami. For my final Federation Devar Torah, I picked Parshat Behar because it talks about Shemitah, the sabbatical year, which is very real if one lives in Israel. There are certain foods that cannot be eaten unless they are grown abroad. Every part of the food that is edible needs to be eaten. If not, it needs to be put away in a special place until it's inedible. And there's also a principle that applies throughout the world, which is remission of debts. That one is supposed to remit all debts on account of the sabbatical year. And it says, actually in Parshat Re'eh, not in Behar, do not think the Shemitah year is approaching, so I'm not going to lend out money. Rather, do what you are supposed to do. Have faith that God will provide for you. Shemitah is completely an act of faith. We think of Shabbat, in a sense, as an act of faith, to refrain from doing things, to get out of the rat race, not be focused on financial gains for one day. Shemitah is alachat kama v'kama, all the more so that one entire year we're not going to plant. And actually the rabbis banned anything that grew anyway from that land during that year, but that we're going to rely upon God and we're going to allow our produce to have a year of rest. There's an ultimate lesson here, as well as there is with the remission of debts. And the lesson is that things don't ultimately belong to us. They're given to us gratis as a gift from God. We don't take any wealth with us. We don't take any of our land or our possessions with us. Rather, they ultimately are God's, which God has favored us to use them for proper purposes. But we need to treat them with respect. We see with climate change what happens when we don't treat our planet, our very land, with respect. We've seen how business people looking to make a quick buck have acted and how things have occurred when they don't treat the bank with whom they receive a loan with respect. Doesn't always end up so well in those cases either. And so Behar is a reminder that everything is ultimately the Holy One's. We are mere passengers. We're mere tenants in this world. And no matter how much property we may acquire, how much money we may have in the bank, we need to remember that whatever we have in terms of our fortunes is a gift from God, and to be gracious and generous with it. It's an important reminder, and I'll conclude with the famous statement from the beginning of Behar, Ukratim dror la'aretz u'lechol yoshvecha. Proclaim liberty throughout the land and for all of its inhabitants. What is inscribed on our liberty bell. We often think of liberty as freedom to do whatever we want. And we are cautioned that that is not the case. Viktor Frankl says it's not freedom to, it is freedom from. Freedom from being subjugated by another, but not freedom to do whatever we want, because ultimately we are stewards of the land, and we have freedom from cruel masters, but we are ultimately accountable to the Holy One, to God. That's an important lesson to remember this Parshat Behar, and I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.